Hello, my friends. I have an interview to share with you today. It's an interview I did with Daniel Guimont. He has a physical education and training background, and he transitioned into a really impressive remote learning consultant role. So you may already be familiar with Daniel. I featured some of his work on the channel here before. I've showed off his portfolio website. You may recognize some of these projects here. So this is his tell-all interview, essentially, where he gets into the real numbers behind his job search. He shares a lot of helpful tips and advice for people who are transitioning into the field or just trying to land a high-paying remote role. And I just want to say, I have the privilege of knowing Daniel through Peck Academy. My team and I all got to work with him. He, from the day he joined, was like a leader in the community, like the exemplar instructional designer in this community. We're building, super positive, super helpful. Ever since I knew him, he's continuing to be really helpful on LinkedIn and everything, which we'll talk about a bit later. But I want to dive into it. I want to make sure y'all get as much value out of this as you can. So let's dive right into the interview. All right. So we are here with Daniel Guimont today. And Daniel, the first question I have for you is, what were you doing before you found your way to instructional design?
That's a very good question. I have a bachelor's degree in physical education, and my first job that kind of opened up into instructional design was being a fitness instructor for the Canadian Armed Forces. So I worked for a company that's that supports the forces. So I was never a member myself, but I worked for that company that offered services, and I would lead these fitness sessions to all these different military units. And I had the enormous privilege to go on deployment as well. Again, being a civilian, I had to sign all the waivers. I was in Afghanistan, and when I came back in 2009, my company was looking for a bilingual training and development specialist in Borden, Ontario. This is close to where I live now. I'm originally from Quebec, and they were looking for someone that could train the fitness instructors all across the country. So I had another privilege to travel across my country and to get to know the different regions and to train people. So that was my first little jump into the realm of instructional designer. And while COVID hit in early 2020, we were all at home. We were working from home, and I started to look online to see what was out there in training and development because I didn't know the field at all. And I was wondering, am I going to do fitness for the rest of my life? Although I'm quite passionate about it, it's very niche in terms of training and development fitness. It could be hard to expand upon. So I wanted to look, can I branch out? And I discovered you, and I discovered your amazing YouTube videos, and it got me feeling like I was lacking quite a bit. So I'm lacking all of these tech things and all of that. So that's where everything kind of started for me. So I've been there for a little while, and then I discovered you. I discovered the field that just opened up this big window that made me feel overwhelmed, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty natural first feeling when finding out about instructional design as a career, all the different skills to learn. We're going to obviously dive into your journey with that pretty soon. But yeah, just to recap, so you were training different roles in the Canadian Armed Forces. You were, it sounds like, given even more training responsibility than you initially had, like rolling out training to a wider audience. And that's what led you deeper down the learning and development rabbit hole, if you will. Found out about instructional design as a career, and you looked at all the different skills you needed to learn. um,
Yeah, it was a big list.
can you tell us a bit about how you approached that?
Oh, that's a good question. So when uh, just about when I was going through your videos, I noticed a lot of things. So there were some things that I felt comfortable with. So for example, hosting stakeholder meetings, that's something that we used to do, and I got exposed to that, and I led some of mine as well, which was very cool. So the design portion of it, I didn't feel too lost. I did feel like I could brush up on that, but I knew where you were going with the ADDIE model and everything like that.
Hmm.
Maybe it wasn't that what we were using, but it was very, very similar. What got me a little bit scared was programs like Storyline, where I saw it, I got exposed to it, but I had no idea what I was doing when I was opening up and trying to build something, or I should say, I didn't know the potential of what you could do. So, for example, building a scenario-based e-learning, so branching scenarios, things of that nature. Like, where do you start? How does one
Mm.
do that? What's the point? Where does this all go? So that was something that really that excited me, but I knew that there was a lot there that I didn't know. And just uh, just after I decided to branch out, I got a position for about 3 years as a training specialist for a construction company, and I really enjoyed that because now I was no longer a SME. I was no longer a subject matter expert. There's no fitness. I was working with engineers, with sales, with inventory. Had no idea what I was doing. Big imposter syndrome. But what was cool about that is it forced me to use those tools to sit down with these stakeholders, with these SMEs, and to dig deeper and to know what are the problems that they're facing, the pains that they have. And I remember early in that position, I really wanted to make sure that I was okay. So at that time, I bought not the whole package of your course, but just the storyline package is what I could afford, thinking hopefully one day I can do the whole thing. And I did the storyline, which was fantastic. I didn't use it as much as I would have liked at work. It was mostly projects that I had to just push myself to do, but I did some and I really, really enjoyed it. And funny, like I just got addicted to storyline now. I can't get enough of it. I love it.
Nice. So so that role, that training specialist role, you weren't able to use storyline quite as much as you would have liked, but you got the storyline bug, like I remember getting when I first got started, and you're just looking for any excuse to build more and more
Yes,
ambitious projects and
exactly.
cool and push the bound, see what you're capable of. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Were you like showing it to like friends and family members and getting people to take them? Anyone who was willing?
Yeah, kind of. I had a really, really good boss, which was nice. And as I was going through every chapter or module of the training, uh, builds you build a little something, and that builds upon something else, and then you
Mm.
always challenge us. Okay, now that you have these skills and you build this templated thing, go and build your own thing. So I would build my own thing, and I would try to make it as relevant to the job as possible. Sometimes it
Hmm.
didn't fit, but I,
Yeah.
I showed this to my boss, and she was encouraging me. And some of the stuff that she used, which was, hey, we can integrate this, which was great, right? Like uh, it's such a good feeling when your boss is excited about
Hmm.
what you do, that she sees your skills and she's encouraging you, and it just snowballs into, well, I want to do more of that.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So you started going through the storyline project lab, building these little storyline experiences. You obviously took it much further than that in your portfolio. You have these AI integrated projects, like custom illustrations. Like, how did you go from first learning storyline to, the wonderful portfolio projects you have on your site now?
Well, thank you very much. That's amazing. It's so funny to hear. It's still surreal because not that long ago, I remember having nothing, no portfolio, and just going through your website and looking at all of the showcase portfolios that you have, and just thinking to myself, maybe one day, maybe, I'm not sure. It's exciting. I don't know where to start. So to hear you say that, it's just it's amazing. Where did it go? Well, the flagship project, so the main project that we learn about in the academy, where we're building, and that's the one that we're essentially showcasing in our portfolio, or the major one. I had a lot of fun. I remember I wanted to be something that was a reflection of who I am, where I come from, and through the training, that's highly encouraged, right? We're encouraged to be our own subject matter expert, or to at least work with one, to make it as smooth as possible, to make it easy for that step. I got a lot of my inspiration from the amazing people that went through before me. And when I did my flagship, which is about training the military, which, here, obviously connecting the dots,
Yeah.
um, I couldn't find anything on AI or packages of characters. It was very specific what I wanted to do. I wanted certain positions that my characters would have. I want them to have certain facial expressions when you're doing well or when you're doing wrong, to get that transitional effect. So it's not just the prompt, the text that's saying, "Hey, you did bad," or whatever. It's,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay, this soldier, he's in crutches right now. Like, oh my gosh, like I really picked the the wrong choice." So I really wanted to play with these emotions, and I had specific ideas of how the characters would look, and I couldn't find anything. And I, at the time, that was in 2024. I couldn't generate anything that would work. Like, we'd have characters with 7 fingers, 2 feet. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I used to draw quite a bit, and I stopped for a very long time. And I thought to myself, well, what if I draw the characters? And I had, Devlin, I had no idea where this was going to go. I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I started off with just writing, getting an idea of how many drawings do I have to do. It can't be that much. It turned out to be something like 56. Like, it was an
Wow.
incredible amount
Yeah.
of drawings, and I'm like, oh my, I've never I never drew as many drawings for one project. Like, I did little comic books as a kid, as a teenager,
Mhm.
but 3 pages max, nothing like this. So I drew them, I inked them, and I scanned them. And to color them, I did it through Photoshop. Again, something
Nice.
that I never used in my life. So I went on LinkedIn Learn. I got a Photoshop course, which was really good, to follow along. So these are all examples of things that I kind of, when I was doing the trajectory of my project, I took a really, really big curve to come back. So it was a big time commitment. I would say
Mhm.
the visuals took a good 2 to 3 months of,
Wow.
I'm not working on anything else on the project except my visual. So it was a bit of a sacrifice, but once I was halfway through, I knew that this is the direction that I wanted to take, because again, I was able to express myself in a different means. So it's not just, hey, here's a project that comes from me, but
Mhm.
here are some visuals. I would never do it again, or I don't think so. But
Yeah.
I was glad to inject it into this.
Yeah, I've definitely been there when I was getting into the field and feeling passionate about wanting to learn a new tool or try something new. And I would go like super deep into it for a project, like with a game maker or something else. And then I'm like, that was way too much work to really be like time efficient on like real client projects, but I'm glad I have it for my portfolio.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Exactly. It looks nice. It's a
yeah.
good thing to showcase.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut in clips so that people can see your projects if they haven't seen them already. But yeah, I definitely recommend people go and check these out because they're quite impressive. All right, so here we are on Daniel's portfolio site. You may have already seen these projects, but if not, I want to make sure you know how to get there. So from his portfolio website, danielguimont.com, you can go to this portfolio tab. It will bring you here. Then you can check out this project, this scenario-based gamified one with all those custom illustrations. And then here's this AI one. So you could just dive into those. Here's some of these custom illustrations. You can see what happens when you click one of the options. So this was all created, drawn by Daniel. So very cool. So feel free to check this one out if you haven't already. Again, very cool features here. And then this one is like one of the prime examples of incorporating AI into like a high production value storyline project. Notice we have this success meter up here. We're trying to de-escalate a situation with this character. Why did you break that window? And the character is fully AI powered. So AI just generated this response right here. We see we didn't do very well, so our score is going down. And Jim here says he didn't know what else to do. So very cool. Check these out. Again, this one, really good use of AI. You can access both of these projects from Daniel's portfolio. And then here's another one that he'll talk about a bit later that he made for a job interview in just 5 hours. So you could check out this one also. Let's talk about the AI one too, because that is like the showcase example for AI incorporated into like a high production value storyline course.
Yeah, the AI project. It's funny because Once I had my flagship project, I had a few little projects here and there that I wanted to showcase, and I ended up taking them out. And uh, you mentioned quite often that a portfolio is good enough with one project, and I completely agree. However, I still wanted to build on my skills, and as I was nearing the end of my journey of completing the everything, my portfolio and everything else, I felt like I wanted to push myself more. And you came out with a few videos, like I've mentioned, with the haunted house. And when you showed that haunted house workshop, October of 2024, that just blew my mind. It blew my mind in the sense that you're typing something on a storyline screen, and then you're getting a prompt that's not a layer, that's not something that you wrote yourself. You don't even know, as the author yourself, you don't even know what is being written, but it came from a chat bot. Not only that, is that you were able to connect that little ghost character and how the person would write their questions to the ghost on whether you succeed the process. So the door opens if you empathize with it effectively. And
Hmm.
as soon as you did that, as I was at the end of my project, I thought to myself, "Darn, I have to do something with this. I can't let it go." I thought about it day and night all the time as I was driving to work. It was just, I guess this is a bad pun, but it was haunting me for sure, for sure. And so I'm I love negotiations. I have a lot of books on negotiations. I like to build my skills on that, which really helps in the I&D field. And I figured, why don't I do something very similar to what you did, but I make it about negotiations, and I make it about a police officer trying to de-escalate a situation. Because I have some police officer friends, and I hear about, sometimes training is not as efficient, and sometimes you just can't train. It's just you're tossed into a scenario, a real life scenario, and you're trying to do the best that you can. So I figured, well, this will just be a portfolio piece, but the potential is there where in you know you create a character, and what's cool with the chatbot is you can give it a persona. So the first persona that I had about my character Jim, that you're trying to de-escalate as he's coming out of the market, was really difficult. I remember just testing it on myself, and I couldn't get him to de-escalate. He was just getting more and more frustrated. So I was able to work with the chatbot outside of the project and say, hey, calm down a bit, almost as if I'm talking to someone else. I need this to be a little bit easier. This is for a portfolio piece. Sure, if people write certain things that don't work, yes, it doesn't work. But if they're trying to make it work, be a little bit more lenient about it. So going back and
Yeah.
forth testing really helped to hone it down. I could have continued to doing it, like sharpening, but eventually you get to a point where, all right, I think I'm just working on a 5%
Yeah.
increase here. I think it was good enough.
Yeah, I agree. It's quite good. It's inspiring a lot of people to incorporate AI into their storyline projects. So
That's amazing.
thanks for making that available to the public. It's quite fun to go through. Let's talk about applications.
Mm,
So you've finished these projects. Are you still working in the training specialist role at this time? And
yes. Yes. So
okay.
I was working as a training specialist, and I just wanted the next level. So whether it was with the same company or with another company, and I was looking to I wanted to use these tools a little bit more. So I was looking for a place essentially which would emphasize on storyline. I still wanted to facilitate because I love being in the classroom or even on screen. It's something that I really enjoy, but I definitely wanted to build and be creative.
Hmm.
And about I'll tell you the story of about the 4 month process. It started a little bit earlier than that, but I'm still working on the projects as I'm applying. But where I'll start the story is towards really the end of where everything from the perspective of the academy, my portfolio, my LinkedIn, and all that is pretty much finished. I'm just adding, building upon it. So in that 4 month period, I think I've applied to about 150 or so positions, or 160, something like that. And I applied to anything and everything because I was just looking for something. And it was very difficult. The market was really, really, really difficult. I think it still is. I've gotten, I think it was around 9 invitations. Most of those interviews I got pretty far. I would say about maybe slightly, like around 40%. So most of them, when I did get an interview, a screening, I would go to phase 2, phase 3, and maybe a phase 4 here and there. So I had some interviews that went very, very well, where I felt like I performed well, like I was on my game, especially the ones that felt like a conversation, the ones that used my
Hmm.
portfolio, which weren't all of them, but some of them, where they were asking about my portfolio, I felt like, okay, this is going to lead something because they're taking an interest to me. It's not just they saw my resume and it got filtered by HR. And now they got to call me to know a little bit more. Like, these people actually took the time, which is quite telling and encouraging. So those ones went really, really well. Others, it's not that it went bad per se. Well, some of them I didn't perform that well, which is going to
Hmm.
happen. You
Yeah.
can't be on your game. An interview is a performance. It's not just 1 hour in your day. After that hour, I don't know about you, but I felt completely drained for the rest of the day. So it was hard for me to
Yeah.
do anything else, to go out and play with the family and things like that, because I just had to recover. Because you're on, it's as if you're on stage. You're doing a show. You're trying to give the best. So a few of them didn't go as great, and others, despite, a rejection is a rejection. It never feels good. But some of them were a blessing in disguise, in the sense that I knew that I wouldn't have been a good fit. Like, if they would have taken me, I I wouldn't have enjoyed myself, and they just did the job for me because they can see where this is heading. Despite maybe liking me or whatever, they know that I'm not the right person for what they're looking. So
Hmm.
you got to appreciate that as well.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so applied to more roles than you expected, didn't land quite as many interviews as you were hoping for, but yeah, I think it's important to be transparent about that aspect of the experience. It's still hard. It still
Oh
is a
yeah.
grueling process going through the all the interviews. Emotionally draining, like you mentioned, the interviews themselves, rejections, the waiting game. Very valid though that, sometimes you just got to feel it out, and if it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit. Um, let's talk about when you did find the right fit.
Oh
When did
boy.
that happen?
So that happened. Uh, that happened. I remember when I got the email where they wanted to talk to me. So I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, that's not a bad sign. I called them, and then they offer me the position. And at that stage, it was so funny. I was on the phone with the lady from HR, who's very kind, very sweet, and I still didn't know what the salary was. I didn't know what the conditions. There were so many unknowns, and normally it kind of filters through the interview, but for this particular job, it just didn't. It'll
Mhm.
happen sometimes. There's so much to think about. So I was thinking, okay, I'm probably going to have to negotiate certain things, whether it's vacation here and there. So they offer me the package, everything. I hear it, and I'm completely dumbfounded. I'm like, perfect. Like, yeah, I accept. It was such a weird feeling because you always go in trying to push and pull, knowing that there's going to be a little bit of that going on. But it just felt surreal. It was good. I texted my wife right after the call, and she said no, because she was with me the whole journey, and she saw
Yeah.
all of the rejections, all of the hopes of maybe this one, or I have a good feeling about this one, and then not getting it. And she she just texted back, no, that's not true. Like, stop kidding around. But it was true, and as soon as that happened, I had about a 3 week before I started, so took a big family vacation, which was fantastic,
Nice.
and got prepared for the role. And and I started about a month ago as of this recording, and it's just amazing.
Nice. So the offer, it sounds like surpassed your expectations. You're quite happy with it. Can you tell us anything else about the role or your job title or what you liked about the offer or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. The my position now is a bilingual learning consultant. So I'm using my first language, which is French, as a capability, which I love. That's always good for me. It's for an insurance company, which is really, really cool. So you put it, you line up the dots, and I started a guy in fitness, physical education, doing martial arts, and now I'm in insurance. It's kind of weird, but in the best possible way. When I had my training specialist position, I was in constructions, and it was the same thing. I never dreamed about going into construction. I never had much feeling about the construction world, but being there with the engineers, with the people that work there, it gave me such a cool opportunity to really understand what fuels them, what passions them. And I think that's a good position to be when you want to be uh, in the learning and development field. It's such a weird position because you get to connect with all the different departments, and you're not high on the totem pole at all in any hierarchy, but it's almost as if you're just under the CEO because you're communicating with people higher up, up and down,
Hmm.
laterally, as if you're the CEO of a company, as if you're a big director of some sort. So I have that privilege to get to know that field, and now I have such an appreciation for it, such a respect. And now that I'm in insurance, I don't know much right now as I'm 1 month in, but I'm excited about that as well because this is a field that I know very little of. And to be quite honest, like I always kind of shied away from it, not looking too much or not paying too much attention or just signing this or doing that for my own personal stuff.
Hmm.
And now I'm excited because, oh, now I have to face that which I don't know. So it's going to be a learning curve, but I welcome it. On the I'll throw this. One of the things that made me stand out as a candidate, because I had the pleasure of chatting about this, was my portfolio. So that was a big piece. And apparently, portfolios are not something that they would have seen quite often. So right off the
Wow.
bat, kind of like what you were talking about in one of your previous videos, where you see all of these hundreds of applications and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm just a number. I'm just going to be 101. What's the
Hmm.
point? But there's such a small number of portfolios. Now, maybe there's that position, they don't care too much about portfolios because that's going to happen, but
Hmm.
they happen to care about it. And they looked at mine, and the other, they didn't answer that question. It was a portfolio, but not exactly related to training. So I stood out of the pile just because of that. And to the portfolio, going back to the portfolio, one of the things that really stuck out is not just the skills of the project, because when I was going through the training, uh, my dream was just to finish that flagship project. Once it's finished, it's going to be so amazing. Everything's going to be easy. But
Hmm.
I realized that despite the fact that you have to put all your heart and passion into that project, which you absolutely must do, the write up, the explanation of your project, which I didn't care too much about, like it wasn't bothering me, it's as important. It's 50%. The project is 50%, the write up is 50%. And my employers told that to me. They said the write up was really good because it shows us, it explains to us what your work ethic is. It explains to us how you understand why you would do certain things. And it kind of proves to us that you're the author of this program. You didn't find it
Yeah.
somewhere in the internet and just put it there. Like there's a lot of thought. You have visuals. You have all of this. You make it engaging. So the portfolio is not just here's a project or a few projects. No, no, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is how I do it, um, which was a big eye opener for me. Ever since I started the training, like understanding what the portfolio piece is. It's not for your friends, it's not for your family, although you could definitely share. It's for a hiring manager. And knowing that, well, what is a hiring manager? That's someone that's extremely busy, very little time, wants to get to the point, and wants to make sure that you can answer whatever problems that they have. So they it's not because you have a good portfolio that you're going to answer all of people's problems. So a few of them will say no to you, which is fine. You're not answering their problems. But the ones that do have a problem where you can't answer it, that has to be crystal clear. And took me a little while, but through the training, I managed.
Nice. I want to mention you were talking about how you are like the instructional design expert now, the learning guy. You work with people across the whole company. I think that's one of the cool parts about this field. Like you get to be the learning person. You don't need to be an expert in every last, piece of content. So you get opportunities like this to work with an insurance company, even though you don't have a big background in insurance, for example. I've worked on all sorts of projects, especially as a freelancer. It's always so varied. It's really fun field for people who like to learn because you're constantly having to learn about new stuff just so that you can help other people learn it better. So it seems like you're passionate about that side of it as well. So that's nice.
Yeah, it's really cool to be able to you're almost like a counselor as a training person.
Yeah.
You're almost like a counselor where you're inside a company, and then I imagine, the stakeholders just sitting on a couch, and then you have your notes and you're listening to them
Yeah.
complain about, oh, this is not going well, and you're like, oh, that sounds really difficult, tell me more. And it's really that
Yeah.
connection that you create with people. But what's so cool is that you build trust with them, and then suddenly they want to come to talk to you, and just to get to know you better. And off the cuff you can find solution, or find ideas to make systems work better, which is
Yeah.
really, really fun. It's I would say this type of job is really for people that love to listen to other people, love to be there for them, trying to find solution, empathize a lot with people.
Yeah.
If you have that, if there's a little bit of that into you're gonna love this type of job for sure.
Nice. Yeah, definitely a dynamic role. Lots of different hats you can wear.
Yeah,
I have to remember to mention the counselor one. That's such a good analogy. I'm always like, yeah, detective hat, you got your artist hat, your developer hat, but also your counselor hat. And I can
that's true.
totally see it. But yeah, it seems like you're thinking about it in the great way. I think this is helpful for people who probably want to conceptualize what it's like to work in the field and work in an org where you can actually like make a difference and not like churn out course after course after course. So you're definitely leading by example with that. And I also know a lot of people are drawn to this field too because of like the work-life balance or like remote opportunities. How is that living up to your expectations so far?
Yeah, I would say, when I was watching your videos, and especially when COVID hit, that was the major thing, right? Working from home, remote, where beforehand you don't even think about it, you don't even mention it to your employer. But I thought, oh boy, would that be nice? Especially being a father of young kids, where you can get them from school, you can help them in the morning, you could be there for them at the end of school to, let's say they had a bad day, or just go to an activity or go to the park. It doesn't have to be complicated. So I was really excited about that potential. I looked at it as, this potentially could give me more time with my family. So one of the jobs that I had before this one, it was hybrid, which was kind of like my first taste of
Mm-hmm.
working from home. 3 days in the office, which was far. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to see if there was closer opportunities or remote opportunities. It didn't matter if it was close. I don't mind not having it at home, but an hour and 20-minute drive, 3 times a week,
Mm.
there and
Wow.
back, it does add up. You could listen to audiobooks, but eventually, the fatigue will creep in.
Yeah.
So I was looking for that is difficult. There are some jobs that you'll see posted as remote or hybrid, and some of them are not, and they're not always what they say. So remote could be hybrid, it could be half and half, and hybrid could be fully remote. And I believe the job that I applied to, that I got, if I remember correctly, it didn't say hybrid or remote. It just said, we're looking for an instructor. We're looking for a learning consultant. So I applied, and I would say, for whatever it's worth, when you are looking for position, let's say you're really excited about the potential of being a remote, try to shotgun it, meaning don't decline opportunities, or don't shy away from applying to jobs that don't necessarily say that, because there is potential that it is, or that it could be, or that you can maybe negotiate your way through. I would say try to think about what you're bringing to them before you think, what are they giving me, right? If they're giving me a remote, that's great, but what is it that you're giving them? Because oftentimes when you're coming in and you're giving them things that they never dreamed about, they never had a training person or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they'll be able to be lenient with you and say, hey, you want to work from home? Yeah, no problem. We'll get you in the office once a month, or whatever it might be. So yeah, try to think about it more in, how can I help them? How can I increase their capabilities, their numbers, solve their problems? I think that's a better way of looking at it.
Okay, nice. I don't think we mentioned it on this call yet, but so the role you applied to didn't say remote, it didn't say hybrid, but it wound up being fully remote. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I every day since I started, I take a moment uh, just to feel the gratitude that I had, because every time I've applied for a job and I got a job, which I've always loved the jobs that I had, there was always something that wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but I was always grateful. I'm like, okay, maybe next time, maybe next time. And then to have what you're looking for, it's just a surreal feeling. It's this is what I worked for, and this is what I got from going through all of this process of creating my portfolio website, of creating my profile on LinkedIn, of polishing the resume, and yeah, I have it, but it still feels weird in the best possible way.
Yeah. Understandable. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that, but LinkedIn, I know you've been active on there and building your community on LinkedIn. I see you on there every time I open the app. Do you think that had any impact on your job search, or is it just how has that been serving you?
Yeah, I would say it definitely had a big impact. So first of all, LinkedIn. Before I started the training, I had a LinkedIn profile that I opened up maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. I had
Yeah.
no idea what I was doing on there. I had no idea what the platform was for. I knew it was for work, but how do you make it work? I wasn't a big social media guy. And when I went through the training, the academy, you have a section where it's all about LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, this will be easy, as I always thought, which it wasn't. But I learned so much about it. I learned so much about the potential as well. And you say this, and the mentors say this as well. And whomever is listening, I would say, if you're starting off and you're learning your skills, showcase them on LinkedIn as soon as possible. It doesn't matter if you have two people clicking like, or nobody, or it's just your parents or your friends. It really doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It just gets the ball rolling of creating a habit of showing your work. And you mentioned that throughout the whole training, which, again, kind of like showing your work for the website. It wasn't something that I I knew I was going to do it, but I didn't take it as seriously as everything else. So LinkedIn really helped me. uh Again, nothing crazy. I looked at the people that you trained beforehand, looked at their profile, got a lot of great ideas from what they were doing. Some of the stuff that some people were doing were not necessarily on the training, but so I picked and choose what would work best for me. It takes a long time, but you don't have to create your profile in one sitting. It could take
Yeah.
months to build it, and it's never really finished, in my opinion. You're always
Hmm.
adding and maybe even taking certain things out where you feel that it's no longer relevant. It no longer expresses who you are or the brand that you're trying to push out. So there's nothing wrong in that, but definitely experiment and definitely feed it. One of the things that I got into the habit of doing working with my team within the training is we post once a week. And I think LinkedIn encourages you to do it a minimum once a week. And I've heard somewhere that if you do it more, it doesn't really matter. So I figured, at least once a week on anything and everything. And as I'm walking outside in the park or just doing some cleaning in the house, I'll get some ideas that I'll put on my phone. Okay, I could talk about this, I could
Nice.
talk about that. And on the weekend, I reserve some time in the morning. I get up, I look at those ideas, and I'll write a little draft of what it could be based off an experience I had. So one of them that I did not too long ago, back in college, I used to do plays, so I would act. And I thought, hey, well, I could make a post on that, on public speaking, how that helped me, and ask people's opinion, and just put something there. And
Yeah.
I had a nice picture from back in the day where I had some hair, and posted that, and it just got a little bit of a momentum. But I get to exchange with people, I get to know people, I get to network with people. There's a few people that there's a lot of people from the training, the academy, that have reached out to me, and I fostered great discussions with them.
Nice.
But what impressed me is people that were not from the training that reach out to me, and sometimes people that are not even from the training world that reach
Yeah.
out to me and want to chat with me. Just a few days ago, I hosted a little Zoom meeting of a few people that wanted to know more about my AI project. So, and
Nice.
they were not in the training with me, so I just hosted it, chatted with them, talked about it, answer a few questions, which is great. Now, this is not leading me to another another job opportunity, which we might think a lot when we're thinking of LinkedIn. At least that's how I first started. It's
Hmm.
just, it's networking, you know, maybe I hosted that and nothing will come of it, but it gets me to host things. So it gets me
Yeah.
a little bit of experience of, hosting a little conversation, meeting new people, getting to know what they're facing, their problems are. So all these subtle things that we take for granted in the background, when you go into conversation with other people, you have that understanding or awareness, and you can come in with a different perspective. So I absolutely love it, and LinkedIn is a beautiful platform. If you're working on something, my AI project, as soon as I started it, I posted stuff on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Even if it was broken and it didn't work,
Hmm.
I just threw it on there saying, hey, this is my idea, we'll see how things go, or whatever. And you
Yeah.
get people. The other thing that's really cool for people that are doubting or not too sure is there's always people out there that know less than you. So if you
Hmm.
think that you're starting off, you know nothing about storyline or anything, and you're just starting, there's someone that knows less and will appreciate you opening up the floor for them. So opening a
Yes.
path, and they're going to reach out and they're going to say, hey, that's great, I'd love to know more. And sometimes we think, well, they could reach out to someone that knows more than me, or this and that, but they're reaching out to you. They want to know
Yeah.
what you have, and that's a cool feeling.
Yeah. That's great advice, great feedback for the way to approach LinkedIn. I'm guessing you're probably okay if people watching this video connect with you on LinkedIn.
100%.
All
Yeah,
right. We'll
please
share
do.
your
I'd
link
love
in
to
the
get to know
description.
you. A lot of people are working on some AI projects, so I'm excited to see. People
Nice.
have crazy, amazing ideas, so I really love to see how it goes. And if I help them, if I nudge them in the right direction, that's just amazing. That makes my day.
Sweet. Well, that's a generous offer. So feel free to connect with Daniel. We'll put the link in the description. And then last, I mean, you've already shared so much good feedback for people who are getting started or maybe newer to the field. I'm sure there's some stuff in here too that will help experienced people in the field. But do you have any final advice or suggestions for people who are trying to transition into instructional design or get started as an
Yes.
IB?
Yeah. If you're doing a training, so like the one that you're hosting, Devlin, which it's big. Like it's not something that you do in a couple of weeks and it's done and you have this amazing portfolio. It's quite the commitment. What I would say to people is try to commit to a minimum of time per day or per week where you can keep it consistent. even if even if nothing happens, at least you were there for 1 hour. So even if you're staring at your screen and you're scratching your head and you're thinking, I don't know what to do, I don't have an idea, or I don't understand this feedback that I got, and you committed to, let's say, 30 minutes or an hour, at least you did that. You thought about it. Maybe in your mind it looks like you didn't advance because you didn't get that check in the box in whatever section, but that process is really important. And although it's slow, give yourself a little bit of grace. For me,
Yep.
this was completely new. So anything that we're doing for the first time, who's going to be good at it? Sure, you'll have some amazing athletes and all that, but the general population, we're going to be horrible at it. So give yourself some grace. If you're learning storyline for the first time and you're frustrated and you're not getting buttons and you don't know what layers are, give yourself some grace. 2 days ago, you weren't even able to open up the software. So,
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
it easy and commit to something, a minimum of time, and don't make it too much. Like if you're thinking to yourself, oh, 12 hours a week, I could do that. Half it. Do it 6 hours a week. And if you do more, good on you, but try to protect that minimum to really have that so that you can be consistent. That's what I learned. And I was working with a group, as I was telling you, and we were always meeting every week or so, and it was helpful because we could see ourselves grow and we could be there to support, and we were all going through maybe not similar frustrations, but we were all going through frustrations nonetheless. So
Mm.
we were able to empathize and lean on each other for that. The other thing that I would say, as I've mentioned, is get on LinkedIn as soon as possible and share your work as much as possible. Look at it as an exercise for yourself, just to start writing prompts. Don't care about the likes, don't care about who comments. Just keep it consistent as well and see how it grows, because eventually things are going to move very, very slowly, but with the consistency, sometimes it's just going to blow up and you won't even expect it, and it'll never happen when you expect it.
Yeah. That is very true. That has been true for me as well. So great suggestions. I really like what you said about like being kind to yourself and having some grace.
Mm,
When people first learn about this field, it's like, oh, I need to learn a million things at once, and it can be super overwhelming, cause a lot of burnout.
yeah,
So I think that's a good reminder for all of us, not just new people working on the transition, but be kind to yourself. Half your commitment if you can. Just keep making
yeah,
steady progress day by day or week by week, and you're gonna get there. It doesn't have to happen overnight. I like
yeah.
that.
If I can add to that,
Yeah.
maybe this was a little bit easier for me because I come from the fitness field, but I looked at it as training. So I train, I'll do my training every day, and I protect that time, kind of like brushing my teeth. I
Mhm.
protect those little routines, and it's very easy to say, "Oh, I don't have time to train. I don't have time to do this," and then off you go. It's no longer a priority. So protect that as much as possible, and that's how I looked at committing to learning through your course. Was okay, once a day. For me, it was an hour. It could be less. It could be more. Whatever works. I
Mhm.
find an hour. I protect that hour. So no matter what happens, let's say that there's an important call and it's during that hour. Well, that block of time, I move it and I protect it. It's going to be later. It will be sooner, but I make sure that I block that time, even if I'm not, like I said, even if I'm not going to be productive, and you're not going to be productive sometimes, probably most of the time, you won't be that productive. It took me 1 full year to create my first flagship project because I was learning as I was going along. It took me 3 months to do the drawings, another 3 months to learn about states and etc. But you get to that if you stay consistent. And then my AI project, it took me 2 months to do.
Wow,
Right. So I
nice.
went I went
Yeah.
from 12 months to 2 months to create something I'm really proud of. And I had a project. This is going to happen once in a while, where you're going through the interview process, and the employer is going to give you a task to do, a project. So not for the job that I got, but for a different job where I went very, very far. I did the project and I thought to myself, I could do something on PowerPoint, something really quick and easy, no problem with pictures, and they'll get what I want. And after reflection, I'm thinking probably everybody is going to do something like that. And I said, well, I have Storyline. I could do something on Storyline. And in 5 hours, I was able to do a really good project that I also put on my portfolio. So, extra
Hmm.
project, why not? And so I went from 12 months to 5 hours to create a solid project that I was proud of, that I could
Yeah,
showcase. And then that got me really far into an interview process. So yeah, be patient. It takes time, but that commitment, those months where you think you lost, it's going to expedite certain processes down the line.
for sure. Yeah, the skills you're building are just going to make things easier and easier. So great. Thank you for all of your suggestions. Congratulations on your new role. Everyone, feel free to connect with Daniel on LinkedIn. And Daniel, thanks for making the time today.
My pleasure. Thank you for everything that you did, Devlin. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have all these flashy things if it wasn't for you and your team. So thank you very much.
All right, so please go ahead and show Daniel some love on LinkedIn if this video was helpful for you. Daniel's already added a ton of value. He's been a huge help and had a huge impact on our Academy community. I see he's already having a big impact on the wider instructional design world, and now he's being able to make a big impact at his job. So go and connect with him. He's a great person to follow. I think he's going to be doing some very cool stuff in the years to come. I mean, look at what he's already accomplished, and he just truly fully transitioned into the field. If you are also trying to create a portfolio and land a role like Daniel, we would love to work with you inside of Peck Academy. We have a ton of support, a ton of feedback to really hone in your portfolio website, help you create those ambitious projects, and land roles that don't really seem like they would be possible when you're just starting out and considering your next career move. So check that out. Our next cohort starts on October 1st. We're still finalizing your applications, so please get your application in by midnight if you want to join this next cohort. But we have a few cohorts every year, so feel free to apply whenever you're ready, and we'd love to work with you. Thanks for making it to the end, and I will see you in the next video.